What's up traders, one of you guys asked me back in November if I could make a video about TPOs and how to set them up in Sierra chart, and also how I use them in scalping. I had a lot going on since then and this video wasn't all the way done until now, but here we go.
Trading.
Trading's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Dangerous.
It's dangerous stuff.
Let's do it.
Don't do it. Alright, TPO. Time Price Opportunity. Yes, these are the funky profiles that often have a bunch of letters in them and don't quite look like your volume profiles. That's because a volume profile grows by volume at a price level, while a TPO is rather considering time spent at a price. Think of point and figure charts like they were used back in the days, except every 30-minute period gets a new letter, and in the classic TPO profile view these are condensed to the left. Like in a volume profile, you have a value area based on standard deviations, but other than in volume profiles, of course, it is based on time spent at a price. Or so most sources will tell you. Technically, if you think about it, it only tells you in how many 30-minute intervals the market has traded at a price at least once. Many TPO traders use this value area as inflection points and see if price likes to trade back into it or rejects it, for example. That also goes for value areas of the past days, and if the TPO profiles of consecutive days are strongly overlapping, you can condense them to so-called composite profiles to get a composite value area that you can check for price to react with. And this is really the important stuff to know about TPOs in my opinion. I find everything else is subjective tweaking depending on strategy, and I recommend to keep things as simple as possible in trading. Once you get a feeling, it will be less harmful to revisit TPOs more closely and see if there's any other useful detail for you to trade them. To get a bit more Sierra chart specific, let's open a new chart. Let's set the session time to regular trading hours according to the time zone you use for your charts, so when I exclude the evening session, I'm left with TPO profiles representing regular trading hours for each day only. Again, there are people and strategies that use the full session for the profile, and there's people that use both. But simplify. Let's add a TPO study. Right click in the chart, add a study, let's add a TPO study. The TPO study comes pretty useful with default settings. Again, in the spirit of reducing information to process while trading, I recommend simplifying them. For example, my personal preference for scalping NQ is to switch the letters to blocks and condense them to 3 ticks per block. If you trade ES, which usually has a smaller range, you might want to leave it at 1 tick per block or letter in order to see tails and tops more clear. But for NQ scalping, I don't really care about that and rather keep things simple and fit on my screen. Make sure your value area is 70%, which is close to the standard deviation on a distribution curve, and have your TPO lines on and set to until further intersection to show when we freshly revisit a recent value area. You can check that your initial balance is set correctly to 1 hour, which by default should be displayed as light blue bar next to each profile. And that's all that I would consider relevant, and the result looks like this. Personally, for scalping NQ, I use the revisited value areas as just another inflection point, just an area in which I pay more attention to price action, traded volume and delta to decide whether or not it's worth an entry. Thank you for watching. Please leave any suggestions for future videos in the comments. Like and subscribe. Trade safe and always manage your risk.